I've never known a love so steady. Even gold won't turn your tide. We flow together like an ocean, every low and every high. And I would have you anyway, dear, any way your heart could bear. Even if you had to leave me, I'd always be waiting here. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. And I wouldn't change a thing, even if I were the king. I've never known a brighter sunset, but every day I see it rise. I never thought it could be better until I saw it in your eyes. Even when we are apart, I will keep you in my heart. I will hold the world at bay just to see you smile again. And when time begins to fade, I will love you just the same.
Check, 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 check. Bourbon check here. Bourbon check. What you drinking? Can you hear me? Check, check, check.
If I were the king.
So salty, I'll still take a bite.
Okay, we can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
I'm gonna take you on a ride. We're gonna burn through the night. When you're so salty, I'll still take a bite.
We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django. Django.
Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop. Okay.
Gonna take you in the bag. We're gonna burn through the night. Why you so salty?
You sure you can handle? Okay. We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop.
I'm gonna take you in the bag. We're gonna burn through the night. Why you so salty? I'll still take a bite.
Okay. We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
I'm gonna take you in the bag. We're gonna burn through the night. Why you so salty? I'll still take a bite.
We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
And hello, everybody. I'm sorry it took so long, folks. I just got out of a really awesome virtual tasting I did with a company called Convault and CDW. It was really awesome. Had a great time. So if you are coming in from that, man, thanks for coming over here. It was great hanging out with you in that virtual tasting. Big shout out to Zinc for helping put that together. Now I'm in a little bit of a disarray right now. My office isn't like I would. I'm still kind of getting things going on here from last week. And hey, Staple Face here from Twitch. Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. Now stay on. What we do here is we're doing a live tasting with 12 bourbons in that $41 to $60 range. It's gonna be great. I'm a little late because I had that live tasting. I missed last week because our son was he was sick. The pediatrician said he had to get tested for COVID. So we had a COVID scare last week. Scared the bejesus out of me, because I'm looking at my 2-year-old and I'm like, dear God, please, I know that kids don't, kids are not as much at harm as other people are, but I'm like, dear God, holding my 2-year-old and like, please don't let this happen. And so fortunately we didn't have it didn't happen. And I'm really, really, really thankful that is not in there. Now, questions are coming in, and I am going to answer them as I can. We do have a 2-camera setup here. This is the second camera here. This is where I'll come to answer questions. Like Greg's here, he says, like, he asked the question as like, wouldn't in this price range, wouldn't Legion be in the mix? See, I actually do not think Legion would be in this mix because I'm tasting bourbons only. Legion is not a bourbon. It is a finished bourbon. It is a finished bourbon. So it's a whiskey. It's a finished whiskey. So that is why I do not have it in this mix. So anything that is a finished whiskey, I do not have in this price range. Anything that was not in the liquor store when I went in to buy it is not going to be in this mix. And if it was not at this price point in the liquor store at the time that I went in there, then it's not going to be on the table. So it's not up for the play. So here we go. So again, a little bit about this. How this works is I walk into a liquor store and I'm trying to basically buy everything at a particular price point. There could be things in there that are, so I started out with $15, under $15, and bought everything in there that I could, or everything that was in there at that price point. I do regret some of those because I had a horrible headache the next day. I mean, horrible. The $16 to $25 price point, I bought everything I could in the liquor store at that price point and tasted them. And, you know, what came out as the winner was Old Forester 100 proof. I then tasted everything from the $26 to $40 proof, or $26 to $40. And you've got, and then you have, so $26 to $40 is basically, you know, the Knob Creeks, the David Nicholson, and both of those were the finalists. Knob Creek won that one. And now we're in the $41 to $60 price point. And Old Forester 1920 won last week. This is the second taste, or won 2 weeks ago. This is the second tasting. And I'm going to go through here what I picked up. And these were all in that price point. I went to a liquor store called Party Center in Prospect. And this is what I'm tasting tonight. We have two new riffs, actually. So this is the new riff Bottled and Bond. So this will be the batch product. New riff Bottled and Bond. Got Davies County, which is a bourbon that is owned by Luxco now. And let's see where this is distilled. It's distilled in Kentucky. So this is a Kentucky product. This is Bradshaw. So this is Terry Bradshaw's whiskey. We're going to find out, like, this is going through, I believe this is not exactly this says it's crafted in the heart of bourbon country and is aged a minimum of 2 years in new charred oak. So why is a 2-year-old bourbon in this price category? There is no way a 2-year-old bourbon should be in this price category, but we're going to find out. Like I said, if it's in the store and I buy it, I'm going to put it in the tasting. So this is Eagle Rare. This is often, less expensive than this price point, but it was in this store for that price point. Fern Creek, which is this is Fern Creek Small Batch 2, 100 proof. This is a new kind of NDP on the market. This is Rowan's Creek, a Willet product. This is another New Riff product. This is their single barrel. Let me see if this is a barrel select. I don't know. This is just a straight single barrel. We have Breaker, another NDP. We have Old Forester Statesman. A lot of people picking that one for me because I've picked 2 Old Forester products in the past. Here's the thing, though. I've tasted this many times, and I have not liked Old Forester Statesman. Black Saddle, which did very well with me at San Francisco World Spirits Competition a few years ago. Pure Kentucky, and Rare Breed. Rare Breed, in a past tasting with me, beat the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. So, interesting to see what's going to be out there. Now, unlike before, where I had put my put the products in the description, I did not get around to that today. So this one does not have the products in the description. So you'll have to revert back to this video to see that. If you see this later, I will have the products in the description. If this is your first time joining us, we're doing live streams every Wednesday and Friday, and content dropping throughout the week. So click the subscribe button while you're at it. If you enjoy good, wholesome, honest reviews and content about whiskey, this is the place to be. So I'm excited to have you. I am excited to taste whiskey. So here we go. I have had a hell of a week, and I've got my spittoon here, and I may not spit. So Here we go. Glass A. Yeah, so like I said, I have had a hell of a week. This is, when you're going into like, things that might impact your tasting, if you've had a crappy week, if you're in a bad mood, you might taste differently. And so for me to like jump on here and say, I may not be on my best is an understatement. So it's been a very stressful, past few days for us. But I think we're good now. But now I'm kind of on that tail end of that stress. So this might be a little bit of a winding down tasting. So Glass A is kind of smelling a little perfumey, a little floral. Get my notebook out here, ready to go. $41 to $60. Round 2. Matt C is asking if I had a calibration tasting. I did. The calibration tasting was actually Elijah Craig, Maker's Mark, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and Henry McKenna. So a lot of floral, a little bubblegum. Floral, perfume. Bubblegum. And on the palate, corn. A little bit of hibiscus, like a hibiscus flower. Kind of indifferent on A. It might grow on me down the road. Now, I said I'm a little bit frazzled tonight. A little bit of that's because I do not have my soda water. I don't have my normal palate cleansers. So so whatever wins tonight or doesn't win tonight, you can always blame the fact that I don't have my normal setup. Glass B. Yeah, there's some comments out there. Is the Bradshaw distilled at Dozy Tyler? The answer to that is yes. To the best of my knowledge, it is from Ozzy Tyler. So B's got a little bit of funk going on. Funk, spice, cake batter. Let's go to camera 2 here. So right off the bat, I have 2 whiskeys that are not really wowing me, not really getting me not really getting, my palate. Nathan Kirby asked me, interesting comment on the 2-year bourbon price. Curious on Texas bourbons, often in that price range. Hey, man, if it's good, it's good. And a lot of times those Texas bourbons are priced like that so they can accrue, capital. So, and they live up to the price. So if it lives up to the price, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, So Glass C. Let's hope that Glass C is bringing me a little something here. Otherwise, I'm going to begin questioning if this was a good mix for the pouring. All of this is blind. I have someone come in and blind pour it. C's got a little bit of a soap note to it. I just went and smelled all the different glasses to see if I smelled soap in any of the other glasses, which would be an indication there might be soap residue, but I did not. Soap, caramel, no green pepper. Yeah, it's spicy, but nothing really doing it for me there. Please, can D please be the whiskey that gives me the awe factor here? So far, the first three that I have tasted have not done it for me. Come on, D. Motherfucker. Okay. So this is a more of a caramel bomb. All right. All right. Thank you, D. Thank you, D. A, B, and C were not hitting it for me. I'm not saying they were bad. I'm not saying there was anything flawed about them. But there was nothing there, and I was friggin' nervous that I was like, shit, my palate's wrecked. I can't taste tonight. And I was about to call the whole thing off if I had tasted these same kind of muted notes and I didn't smell right. Because listen, as a taster, you got to know when your palate's on, when your palate's off. And if your palate's off, you don't need to be a dick and taste if your palate is really, really freaking off. So thank you, D. Thank you, Glass D, for coming forward and not being a shit turd. Not saying A, B, and C were shit turds, but A, B, and C, gave me the range of funk, perfume, and soap. So it's basically like, I don't know. I don't freaking know. But D's way better than the other three. I'm going to swallow that one. Fuck yeah. Caramel bomb. Spice. Cornbread. Vanilla. Fucking flavor right there. Hell yeah. So we are streaming across Twitch, D Live, YouTube, Facebook. I want to thank you all for joining. This is the conclusion of my series where I'm tasting whiskey at various price points. And what I do is I go into a liquor store at that price point and I just straight up buy it. So if it's in that store, I will buy it at that price point. If it's not in the store, I'm not buying it. And so that's basically the rule of the game that I'm doing here. Now, this is the end of this particular exercise. I will be taking the top two of every one of these and tasting them this Friday. So this Friday will be the conclusion of it. Or not, maybe not this Friday. I'll let you know. But hit the subscribe button so you do find out when it is. I may be taking a break this Friday from a live stream. This has been a hard couple weeks. And I think I'm going to take a break Friday. Class E. Glass E is also in that kind of interesting realm. It's a little bit of that like, you know, malto meal kind of note. So you're making some malto meal, throwing a little bit of that chocolate dust in there. Slap on some butter. I dig. I dig. So E's got some spice, some herbs, some cinnamon hard candy. All right, E. Not bad. Let's go to F. So it sounds like we have a watch party at Copper and Oak in Danville. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Glass F. F's got some smoke to it. Smoke on up in here. Smoke. Honestly, I'm actually going to grade this smoke as kind of a peat note. I don't normally do that because peat is a very particular note, but it is kind of peat. It does have some herbalness to it, and there's some cardamom in there. Okay. So, F, G. Sign on G. G's got one of those noses. It's got one of those noses. Oh, yeah. There it is. Caramel. I mean, seriously. If it sounds like it's overstated, caramel, 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 folks, that's one of the most common notes in American whiskey. And if you're tasting and you don't taste if you taste caramel and you try to phrase it as something else because you don't want to repeat yourself, come on, it's fucking caramel. I mean, there's different grades of caramel. Don't get me wrong, but don't be a douche about it. So caramel, straight caramel, like a fucking caramel chew. I mean, I'm getting a little pepper after that and some Tabasco sauce. So the spice is strong with Glass G. Go to Glass H. Not picking up any discernible notes here on H that I can really call out. They're in there. I just can't necessarily figure out what they are. Now I'm going to come to camera 2, see if folks have any questions. If you have any questions at this point, just get them into me. I'm trying to, taste these blind tonight. I've admit that my palate is not, I didn't feel like it was the best going in, and then I got into a couple glasses that were really right there. Imfar says no legs description. When I'm doing these blind tastings and I'm tasting them like really quick like this, I don't always do I don't always go with the legs. I don't always do a critical analysis of this, but just give you a little look here. So you can see the legs on H there. They're kind of minuscule. They're just kind of gloppious, just like bloop, bloop, bloop. Let's go ahead and taste H right here. Legs are really, really important for understanding the bourbon. But in terms of assessing it, legs don't matter as much. Legs are very important. I do not think they're overrated. I think if anything, legs are underrated. But I think they have to be applied in the right sense. Legs really should be applied toward recognizing the bourbon and understanding what you're about to taste. And yes, Stu Shepard asked, does the shape of the glass matter? Absolutely. Absolutely. So the viscosity of it will change. If a glass is straight up and down, it'll come off very differently. Matt Ray says he's a leg guy. Right on, Matt. Me too. Folks, H is a contender. Cherry pie, cherry pie, cherry pie. Fried goodness. Vanilla wafer. So as we get back to legs are often like what's left over from distillation. Is it the acids that survive distillation and the aging, and also some of the wood sugars that kind of come through. And it's very different than in wine, which is basically sugar in some respects. So it's very different in bourbon than it is in wine. But legs are important, and they can help you identify a distillery, but they do not have an impact on necessarily how they taste. They can, however, give you an idea of what to expect here. So going to glass H. So far, I haven't had a turd. Oh, yes. We're going to have some Phil Chiltered t-shirts coming up for members here pretty soon. More about that later. Glass I. So I's smelling a little alcohol-y. Smells alcoholic, comes off a little bit stronger. Cornbread, a little pudding, and then some anise, touch of peanut butter. Going to K. Dear God, I've been whipping through this tasting. Wow. I think one of the lessons I've learned here tonight is that I'm not going to do back to back to back again. You know, so I kind of like I feel like I'm rushing this a little bit because I'm already on glass K. But I normally have the day to prepare, and I don't have anything in between for these tastings. So while my tasting, I'm feeling fine, but I'm definitely like the production of all this is a little bit off. But with that said, you all are still here, and I thank you for that. Kay's got a big prominent banana note up front. Oh, yeah. That's good. Chocolate. Fig bar. Nugget. Cinnamon. Wow. Definitely a contender. Going to glass J. Getting a lot of really good questions coming in here. MFAR2 says no mention of color or clarity. Hey, great question on that. So, you know, when it comes, there's a lot of philosophical discussions of like color and clarity. You know, and the fact is that color and clarity do not actually have an impact on what you taste. It can only tell you what you might be tasting. And while I do think that's very important, and I instruct everybody to assess the colors, I am assessing the colors the entire time while I'm doing this process. I'm just not talking about it. And I will take this as the opportunity to tell you, as a longtime taster, I've been doing this for a long time. In the last 6-7 months is the first time that I've been going through the analytical process of every single step at a kind of high tasting level and describing everything. And so in the fact that I'm doing this for an audience, if I were to go through every single thing that I would in a competition, and I've tried to do that, I'd be here for 5 hours. And so I'd be talking about every single thing and answering questions. And so I try to break some of that stuff up. But I am actually assessing color, to give me an idea of what I'm about to taste. But, you can't taste color. You can't necessarily smell color. And in terms of clarity, that can be is it chill filtered, or is it non-chill filtered? Etc. So great question. I'm glad you brought that up. But, here I'm trying to be quick as well as analytical and descriptive, for the audience. So Frankly Speaking says maybe soap taste was from a washed glass. No, it was not. There is actually a soap note in some whiskeys, and I smelled all the other glasses. It's all from the same cycle, so I'm pretty confident it was the whiskey. Brendan Hogan says, sounds like Fred needs to be filtered. That is an inside joke for the membership. That is definitely an inside joke. So Glass J. Kind of corny. Some corn, pepper spice. Yeah, it's a pretty good bourbon. Didn't wow me, but there's only be a couple in here that's wowed me. Glass L. L's L's coming off a little hot for me. But, you know, it's all right. Dramman KY says soap flavor can come from the fermentation. That's exactly right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through these and start ranking them. We've got 12. And I will say that I didn't taste a turd in the bunch. I mean, some were better than others, obviously. But I didn't really taste anything that, you know, had the dead cat note or the, plastic note. Didn't taste anything like that. Fred, your bottles on the shelf have changed. Yes, I recently produced the Bourbon Women live stream, and I basically arranged the office for them or let them arrange it for me, and it threw me out of whack. So the bottles and everything, that's the look. So I gotta reorganize it, to my style, which is basically no style at all, and kind of get back to that. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to the tasting here. The glasses A, B, and C and L I was kind of like equally, equal on. You guys have questions right now is the time to ask them. I will be screening them, looking for them. If you had a question previously, I am not scrolling up, so make sure you get that question back in. Class A. He just got this like vegetal bubblegummy B. Jason Miller asks, Fred, do you think the order you drink your bourbons influence your tasting notes ratings? I noticed you change quite a bit depending what you drink before. I think that's a really good observation, and I try to eliminate that, but I'm human, right? So that happens with everybody. It's going to happen. Like you taste something that tastes like shit, and then you taste something that's after that. You don't want to be the whiskey that tastes like shit you don't want to be the whiskey to taste after the one that tastes like shit, and you don't want to be the one that tastes like, oh my God, that's motherfucking good. You know, so you have to be. Brian Mackey asks, "Do you know the main difference between Henry McKenna and Elijah Craig?" Elijah Craig is a small batch. Henry McKenna is a single barrel. But other than that, you know, they're both. So Henry McKenna is 10 years old, and Elijah Craig is a composite, you know, that comes 8 to 10 years old. Zalith asked, do I ever pair whiskey with a meal? Absolutely. All the time. James asks, have I found my metal grill spatula? Yes, I did, and that is a reference to me using a plastic spatula on my grill, which caught on fire, and it was a really cool video that I put on my stories. And I did find it. It was outside, like I think my kid was playing with it or something. But yeah, it's now secure. So I think I like B over A. So let's see how I feel about C. C is pretty muted. Doesn't have really much going on. But I still like it. I think I like A over C and B over A. Let's do L. Like L a little bit more. Let's see if there's anything else in here. So C is going to go into 12th place. C is the one that had the soap note. L is going to go into 11th. A will be in 10th. And B in 8th. B in 9th. Let me see if I can give you guys a little bit better look. There we go. Yeah, you can see the whole desk there. Rebecca Wells asks, what's your favorite note? I don't know if I have a favorite one, but I think it's a cross between like Jiffy Bread popcorn or Jiffy Bread cornbread, in really good popcorn, and like a sweet, nutty kind of flavor, which is why I like marzipan a lot. Is it's like a sweet, nutty note. So let's pare it down a little further. I felt like I might be in that next wave. I and E. Okay. I and E. I, E, and F were in that next wave. So we're going to refill those. He's got plenty. Jeff Schmidt asked, he's like, Fred, you're tasting 12 bourbons tonight. How many do you taste in competition? Man, that's a lot. I taste a lot in competition. And normally it's a lot. 100 a day, you know, something like that. Brian asked, any thoughts on the trend of barrel finishes and aging. Seems like makers, listen, here's my thought on barrel finishes. This has been going on for over a decade, and I have nothing wrong with them. I think it's great. I love the trend of barrel finishes. What I do hate, though, I hate the labeling. The labeling is they're trying to pass it off as bourbon. It's not bourbon. It is not bourbon. If you finish it in another barrel, especially a used barrel, it ceases to be bourbon. It is. It's absolutely no longer bourbon. In fact, when they apply for the label approval in the federal government, they apply for it under a distilled spirit specialty clause. And so, like, I'm having a really difficult time of my, like, instinct to protect the term bourbon and my enthusiasm for the category. I love barrel finishes, but why can't you just call it whiskey instead of calling it bourbon? Bourbon is an actual protected term, and the way that we are muddying it right now, from this to a so-called like spiritless, non-alcoholic bourbon that's just hit the market, pretty soon you're going to have a country say, why in the hell would we ever respect your definition of bourbon when you can't even respect it in your own sense in your own country? So I have major issues with the labeling, but I love the flavor that's coming out of the trend. So I love and I hate the barrel finishes. Class I. Glass I is solid. Glass I is really solid. Class E. Class E's got a little bit of a tingliness to it. Glass F. Kurt asked the question, does anyone label their barrel finishes correctly? Here's the thing, is they all label it correctly by the letter of what the government has allowed them to do. But what nobody seems to get and what nobody wants to acknowledge is that every single time that we go down another road of putting bourbon with either a flavored product or like a barrel finished product and now a non-alcoholic product, we're further like watering down what the term bourbon means. And the more that we allow that to happen, the more we are basically saying to our constituents, as well as other people in other countries, that the term bourbon does not actually mean anything to Americans. And I don't understand why it's the actual bourbon producers who continue to do this. I mean, they are basically telling the people that the term bourbon means nothing to them when they put barrel finish, bourbon finished in X staves or whatever, on the front of the label. If they want to say it's whiskey finished in, or they want to say it's whiskey, that's fine. But put that on the back label in the description area versus the front, where the actual consumers are going to judge what the category is. I am to the point where I'm beginning to consider to no longer acknowledge these products as they label them, but acknowledge them as they should be. If you go back to what was bourbon in 1975, the barrel finishes stuff would be laughed out of the room. There is no way that anybody from Stitzel Weller or the old school national distillers or Seagrams would have said, oh, you know what? It's a good idea to label these as a bourbon finish in X cask. Now, the fact is the great Booker Noe was the first person to do this. And again, I am not disputing the fact that these are incredible flavors and we should be celebrating them. All I am saying is that we do not need to be putting bourbon on the front of the label, because that hurts the category in the long term. All that people are doing by doing that is taking advantage of the growth of bourbon. And otherwise, let's open up the definition of bourbon and let's redefine it, saying like certain types of bourbon can have finishes in it. And if we do that, then we're okay. But we're not doing that. Instead, we continue to tack on different types of finishes on bourbon. And the fact is, if somebody would have just stopped with one barrel finish, we'd be fine. And Angel's Envy, I think, does a really good job, and they just stop at one barrel finish. But it's when we finished in this, when we finished in that, and we finished in this, when we finished in that. And oh, by the way, we dumped a quarter pint of fucking sherry in it, and now we can still call it bourbon. And then before you know it, you have Esquire and 15 other magazines around the world saying you have Japanese bourbon on the market, which is not true at all. I'm talking about Legion. And you're talking about, they have these blends and everything. And with Legion it has finishes, and it's got a Japan connection, and people started calling it Japan bourbon. And that is the moment that I realized that all of this is going to be taken the wrong way, and people are going to go down the wrong road with these barrel finishes. And God, I got off on a tangent tonight. You guys got me off on a tangent. Dear God. Oh. Yeah, the horse is dead. I get it. Listen. I apologize. I did not mean to get off on a tangent, but I blame Kurt. I blame Kurt on that. So, everybody, you can blame Kurt as well. But I still love you, Kurt. Glass D. Oh, I didn't like D? Oh. I think I mixed D. I was like, holy shit, I didn't like that? It's like, that's amazing. I think I mixed D up with something else. I think Glass I. Okay, so definitely D is in another caliber from these three. So I like I. I like I out of that. Let's see here. Got to get myself organized here. You guys got me off on a tangent. And when I get off on a tangent, I just want to go down that road. I want to write. I want to yell. And you got me off on it. I know some of you are saying that was warranted. And it may have been, but that's not my intent tonight, is go off on that tangent. But fuck. I hate that whole thing. So I, E, and F. J, I'm going to throw J in here. And L is out. Okay. Okay. So I, E, F, and J are all pretty close. I mean, they're all really close. So, and you guys got me off on a tangent, which got my blood boiling a little bit on something I'm really passionate about. So I'm going to eat a cracker to try and dial back my palate a little bit, because I tasted these before, and before you all got my blood boiling, there was one that was better than the others. I'm not tasting that now, so I'm going to try and settle my palate down. I'm going to get some water. And you guys can listen to some fine tunes as people come in. If anyone comes in, you can tell them why we are waiting here. Let's see, what kind of music you want here? Oh, that's a good one. Go with this one.
While I look down from my tall window, down to the busy street of mine, I couldn't hear a sound that was louder than the one inside my mind. Instead of trees, the kids were climbing up telephone antenna poles. Their mothers sat on brown park benches and were waiting to get old. Don't we all like to go out dancing to the sound of a guitar strum? Yes, it brings us back together, though sometimes I wonder how. 'Cause to me it's just another way to neutralize my eyes from seeing the daily weary faces for an hour that I'm alive. Still I'm playing out for nickels. I keep him in a wooden drawer,
Nickels
so
in a
that
wooden
one
drawer.
day I can afford her diamonds and pearls.
All right. So, here we go. Let's see. So we had, so the artist on that was Geva Alon. So all the music that I use is royalty-free, purchased from artist.io, which has hugely awesome professional artists. But you're not going to get in trouble for using their stuff. So, like if I had played a song from Bruce Springsteen, they would have shut down my YouTube, and I heard from lawyers in the morning. So that's a little bit on the use of music and this sort of thing. So Glass Eye. Nose is better. Palate definitely better. All right, so the crackers worked. A little banana there. Class E. All right, I like I over E. Class F. Like Class F most of all so far. Class J. So E is going into 8th place. J into 7th. I in 6th. And F is still in the running. Now, I'm going to go ahead and come over here. I'm going to tell you right now, I am feeling a little bit of palate fatigue. My palate's not feeling as on as it often is in these. And so take that with how you want. I'm going to go ahead and pull through. But this is not one where I feel entirely I'm gonna eat these almonds, and hopefully that will kind of like bring my palate back a little bit. What almonds do is they like extract and apply bitterness to your palate, and then you rinse it out. It's a little bit cleaner. But I don't have my cheese, and I don't have my soda water like I normally do. All right. So here we go. This is for the top 5. Wish me luck, everybody. It's going to be some work. So, as I bust into the top 5, I've essentially eliminated J, I, E. So those are the 2 I've eliminated. Let's put those guys over here. D, F, G, H, and K. Let's give them all refills. G on G. Motherfucker. The goddamn lid keeps coming off. So G. H. All right. So glass D, we'll start there. Yeah. Whatever D is, I'm buying all day long. He's excellent. F, which was on the verge of elimination. Quite a bit softer than D, but adds some depth to it. Has some complexity. A little bit of an undertone there, like a carriage coming in underneath the palate. I really enjoy that. Yeah, F's got some complexity to it. Which, going back to the people who asked me about, do do you lose your bourbon after you taste something that's bad or good? And the fact is that I tasted F after E, which E came in 8th place, and it's nice to see that. Travis says, please describe palate fatigue. I know what I think it means, but please define it in your terms. So palate fatigue is when... So this is how I define palate fatigue. Palate fatigue is when 3/4 of my tongue is not operational. When you taste so much spirit, your palate takes a pounding. I mean, you just take a pounding. Whether you like it or not, tasting that much spirit has an impact on your organs. And your tongue is a major organ. And if I can't feel the whiskey in the middle of my palate like I can when it's fresh, then I know I've got some fatigue. And the middle of my palate is what goes first. And so when you see me tasting, and I'm almost always able to pick up sweet and spice. The nuance I lose when I get palate fatigue is bread, is cornbread, is like cotton candy, that kind of like savory note of cotton candy. It's peanut butter. It's the things that are more savory in nature that I lose when I have major palate fatigue. So that is something that I notice when I'm tasting, is when I cannot feel the whiskey on a particular part of my palate. But crackers, these particular types of crackers, these reset me. Here, I'll show them to you. These just like basic crackers that have no salt on them or anything. They're just crackers. They reset my palate. They help me. The almonds help me. I usually have Munster cheese, which helps me. And I usually have like soda water, which helps me. But tonight I only have almonds and the crackers. So I hope that helps you. Glass G. Glass G is lovely. Class H. Class H is going to go into 5th place. Well, good. Well, it had some flavors to it. H simply did not have the oomph and the complexity as these other 4 glasses. These 4 glasses here are all really good in their own way. And I think there's one truly exceptional one in here. Just really liking this tasting tonight. It's been some work, but let's come back to some questions. Jason Miller asked, how about dark chocolate? Does that help, or is it too strong? Dark chocolate, I think dark chocolate hits people differently. For me, it's just too strong. And also when I have chocolate, I want to eat more chocolate. I'm not thinking about anything else. I just want chocolate. But also, I'm a fatty, so you may not have that problem. Like, you may be like, oh, I can have a piece of chocolate, I'm fine. But I have a piece of chocolate, and I want another piece of chocolate, and then another piece, and then some chips, and something else. So I have problems, especially with chocolate. Thank you, Rebecca. That's very kind of you to say that. J-Star, can shipping during the summer potentially affect the taste profile? Shipping during the summer, you know what? I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous on the whiskey to ship like that if you don't package it right. Like, you can be very careful around on the cork. Danny says, what about peanuts? Because I'm allergic to almonds. Danny, I did not know that. Man, peanuts and almonds are a very different range, and I don't think that they would be the same kind of palate cleanser. I'll look into that for you, man. I'll hit you up. I'll let you know. Brendan says, damn it, Fred, don't stop describing to me. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes I get in my groove and I just like pick one over the other. I'm sorry I didn't describe it to you. I will next time. Jason says he had a cork pop, no doubt about the summer packaging. Yeah, corks pop all the time. Really does. David P says unsalted cashews work for me. Unsalted cashews have two good things. One is that one is the fact that they're like fatty and they can kind of like coat your mouth a little bit. And two, they're really freaking tasty. I love raw cashews so much, especially from Tanzania. Tanzanian cashews are like so good. I love them so much. So, all right, let's pick our winner tonight. We have glass D, F, K, and G. I got those a little mixed up in terms of how I said them. But so let's start with glass D. I think glass D has got the honey. It's got everything going on for it. I love glass D. Now, I see people are asking questions, and they're good questions. But right now, I'm going to try and focus on picking a winner. And Glass D is just feeling right to me. Glass F. So what I noticed about D in this last tasting, where I didn't get it before, I got a big marzipan note. I got a lot of honey. And I love those notes. So, but Glass F is coming on really strong with some smoke. F feels quite a bit younger. But there's this cardamom, this peanut butter. And I don't think F should be... I don't think F should be ignored. G. G, after coming off of D and F, it doesn't hold up in terms of like the viscosity, in terms of like the unique flavors. Let's see about K. G's going into fourth place, which, you know, that's something to shake a stick at. That's a big deal. That's a big win for G. Big win. So now we have D, F, and K. DFK. It sounds like it should be something. Danny Mackey says that he thinks that pecans might be a good replacement for almonds. Actually, pecans have a lot of bitterness to them. And so when you hear a taster say they're getting a lot of pecan, there's usually association with a lot of bitterness. And almonds do not have a bitterness. They have more of I don't know, a nuttiness to them. All right, so basically we're back into that mood thing. So I talk about this a lot. We're like, what mood am I in? What kind of mood am I in? What I want? What do I want right now? An F has got some smokiness to it. K is coming off. K is coming off very like cherry pie like. I think if I was in the mood for smoke, I would go with F. If I was in the mood for like fruit and pie crust, I'd go with K. But tonight, I am somebody who's really wanting. I'm somebody who's really wanting the basic genuineness of what bourbon is. It's got some notes that are brought to it naturally. And that's Glass D for me. So Glass D tonight is the winner. I'm not sure what number 2 is going to be. Glass K and F are very close. I think what it comes down to, I think I appreciate F just a touch more than K. I think K is an exceptional bourbon. I think it's very tasty. I'm buying it every day of the week. But I like that little bit of smoke that F brings. And you don't get a lot of smoke in bourbons that the smoke is not overly in your face. Typically, when smoke is in your face, it's young, it's like blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I don't want to drink this. So it's nice to see like some smoke. So F is getting second place. K is third. Now, what I will say to that is that if you may recall that F was on the cutting block in round 2, and it went on to survive. And that's a little bit of like an educational point from a tasting perspective, is that you continue to taste and you keep your wits about you as best you can, and you give each glass its opportunity, and you respect each glass, and you don't focus on what is in the glass, what do I like, you focus on the glass and does it taste, does it taste in the right profile? Is it outside the profile? Does it have flaws in it? So you look for those types of things. And so F, to me, D was always like, the first time I tasted D, I was like, oh damn, this is fucking good. But when I got to F, I was like, oh, this is good, but every time I kept going back to F, every time I kept tasting it, it got better. And I got better, and I got better. And I can't say that about E, which I liked a little bit at first. I can't say that about I, which I liked about the same way as F. And I can't say that about H, which I liked more than F the first time I tasted it. And I can't say that about G, which I liked more than F the first time I tasted it. And I can't say that about K, which I liked more than F the first time I tasted it. So a big winner tonight, and I don't know what these are yet, but I think a big winner tonight is Glass F, but Glass D, I tasted that, and it just kind of like sucked me in, and there was nothing in here that tasted anything like glass D. And I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit more of that. And sip on it as I tell you all the results. Okay. So here are the results. And somebody poured these for me and wrote them down. And I have not looked at this. Okay, so in last place is Breaker. Oh, damn. Last place is Breaker. In 11th place is New Riff Single Barrel. In 10th place, in 12th place, Glass C. Glass C was last at Breaker. Glass C was Breaker. In 11th place, Glass L, New Riff. Glass L, New Riff. In 10th place, Glass A, 10th place, Rowan's Creek. Glass 9, or 9th place, Glass B, Pure Kentucky. Willet has not fared well in these blind tastings for me. Now, I have typically liked Willet products, so I don't know what that's saying. In 8th place, New Riff. So this is the New Riff Bottled and Bond. In 7th place, that was Glass E. In 8th place, Glass E. Glass E. In 7th place, Glass J. Fern Creek. Just some interesting notes here that there's a lot of bourbons in play that I would have thought that would have, been dropped down earlier. One of those, most importantly, is Bradshaw. I mean, to be honest with you, this is the highest ranking that I have a bourbon coming out of that particular distillery. So, how about that? In 6th place, Glass I, Black Saddle. So this was the oldest one of the bunch at 12 years old. So Black Saddle at 12 years old, Glass I comes in at 6th place. Glass 5, at number 5, Glass H. Holy, you know what? Time for me to start typing these in, right? So bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. I need to write this out, and I'll type it in so you all have it there. But let me tell you something, folks. There is a fucking shocker in here for me. And perhaps for you too. There is a shocker in tonight. There's a huge, I mean, I'm just telling you right now that this is one of the biggest shockers of my career. Let me get all of this situated so I can type it out. But it is a crazy. Yeah, I don't think crazy. I mean, it's honest is what it is. And so, however you choose to look at how the results are, is however you choose to look at it. So number 5. Number 5 is Eagle Rare. Number 5, Eagle Rare. Glass H. I'll put that there. There we go. Number 4. All right, so that leaves Old Forester Statesman, Rare Breed, and Bradshaw as the final 3. So let me say this. This is why we blind taste. This is why we blind taste. And the Bradshaw one, I would have never picked in my top 3 of anything. Ever. I would never have picked that. But I blind tasted tonight, and I'm looking at these results, and, I mean, my palate was pretty spot on for how it's always been. It's pretty spot on. It's always been like, this has always been my trajectory of my palate. In these blind tastings, at least. I have not scored the Willet products well. I gave some the Buffalo Trace products, the Sazerac products, the Source products didn't fare as well. But these 3 bourbons are, oh my God. I cannot believe how tonight went. So at number 3, and coming in at number 2, a bourbon that I laughed at when it came into the game. I laughed at this bourbon in the biggest way possible. I thought it was a joke. I thought that when, Terry Bradshaw announced this bourbon, I thought it was going to be another like celebrity joke. But here it is coming in at Glass F, and solidly coming in at number 2. I did not see this coming. I genuinely thought this was going to be... I really thought that this was going to be one of those things where someone came in and got a product and they put their name to it and they said the blah, 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 blah stuff. But unbelievable that this is in here in my top 5. But this was no contest tonight. There was no question as to who the winner was for me, and that is Rare Breed. This was not even a competition tonight, folks. Rare Breed Glass D comes in and really kind of like owns the moment and just sweeps it. And again, these are not products that were provided to me by distillers. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that I do get whiskeys that are provided to me by distillers, but these were actually whiskeys that I purchased. I purchased them at retail, at a retailer near me. And this is a rare breed right off the shelf. This was a Bradshaw off the shelf. This was an Old Foe Statesman off the shelf. Eagle Rare, Davies County, off the shelf that I bought. And I picked them tonight in the blind tasting. So, wow. I mean, well, I said that F was the big winner. I stand by that. And I did not see this whiskey being in my top 5 whatsoever. Not at all. I'm going to taste it again, to make sure I'm also going to check with my guy who poured my stuff to make sure that he was not smoking crack or something. But F is really solid whiskey. Someone asked me to show the Bradshaw bottle. This is the Bradshaw bottle. I'll go to camera 2. There we go. Camera 2. That's the Bradshaw bottle. And that is the Bradshaw bottle. I did not see that coming, folks. I did not see that coming. This is not a whiskey I would have put in any list. It's 103.8 proof. At the top of it, I was very much saying that, why would anybody come in at 2-year-old? And because on their labeling, they say they give the old aged a minimum of 2 years. And yeah, it did really well in the blind tasting tonight. So if that's what the Terra Pure process tastes like after 2 years, then wow. But still, I like Glass D more. Kurt is saying pour from the bottle. Kurt, who is a purist like me, who also got me off on my tangent. So we're going to pour from the bottle to confirm. I can absolutely confirm that. That's delicious. It's delicious. So that product is confirmed. Bearing finding out that I have COVID tomorrow or something like that, which, knock on wood. I mean, this was a solid tasting. I'm looking at these; they fall right on trend with my palate. I mean, I started off a little bit off, but in the end, I feel like I found my groove, and I don't want to discount what F is. I don't want to discount what the Bradshaw bourbon came in as. I mean, that's good bourbon. And that's why you taste blind. You don't taste blind, so you can figure out how smart you are. You taste blind, so you give every like whiskey like its fair shot. And the fact is, most people aren't buying that whiskey. Most people are buying this one. And holy shit, I did not see that happening. I did not see the Bradshaw one outtasting Eagle Rare or many of the others in this lineup. But I will say that there's no way that anyone discounted Rare Breed, which won tonight and which will now face off to Old Forester 1920 in what is a typical showdown of this price point. Rare Breed versus Old Forester 1920. I mean, bring it. That smells so good. It smells so good. Man. I just can't get over this. This is incredible tasting tonight. And by the way, the retailers I go to, they don't know I'm going there until about an hour out. And the only reason why they know that I'm going there an hour out is so I can request their permission to take pictures and publish them or video. I don't tell them, so there's no way they can alert the distributors or the distillers that, hey, Fred's coming in to, pick bottles off the shelf. So, I mean, this is about as a legit exercise as I can possibly give, and it's definitely the most pure that I can offer you in terms of like going into a store and buying at a price point and all that sort of thing. But look, man, this was an incredible venture. I really enjoyed all of these, and I will be doing a taste off between the 2 top winners, maybe the 4 top winners of each one of these, and nailing it down to a, nailing it down into a to what is the best possible bourbon to get, that's available. And yeah, so Doing Bourbon asks, when will the $41 to $40 or $60 taste off be? I'm probably going to record that. I'll probably do it specially for the members and then bring it out to the public. If you'd like to become a member, click the membership button. But ordinarily, I would do it right after this, but I just don't have it in me right now. I've been going back to back to back to back to back. And I want to make sure that, I rest up a little bit. And apologize, membership. I know you all normally you're accustomed to live streams after this, but I don't have it in me tonight. I'm all done. I've given it all I got for the day. So, but yes, the members will get to see the live action, and then I'll cut that and then put it out on regular Facebook or YouTube. Yeah, Glass D, man, the Rare Breed brought it. Rare Breed brought it tonight. Can we do this again, but with rye? Bird asked that. Yes, in fact, that's my plan. I do plan to do this again with rye. I also plan to do this with other kind of things like scotch and rum, and I like doing it by price because that's at the end of the day that's all who we all are. We're all going in and we're shopping, and yeah, I'm excited about this. But at the end of the day, I love what I do, and I hope you get a chance to buy some of these products and taste them and taste alongside me. And I hope you're having a good time with all of this. But we're in a tough spot in our world where I feel like we're all on pins and needles about what's about to happen next, and no one really wants to talk to one another. everyone wants to put on a big front and big show, but I just want to talk to people, and this is my opportunity to talk to you all over a good drink. And I hope you all feel comfortable in chatting and everything with me. And this is what it's all about here. Whether you taste these things, you can taste this whole lineup, and there's no right way or wrong way to taste it. It's your opinion, and tonight is my opinion. And so I'm just excited that you're tuning in to share a little bit of a dram with me. So it's always a great time. Always a great time to do that. So with that said, I'm going to close it out, and I will see you all Friday. This is Matt Ray says, how about a battle of the finished bourbons? Oh, you got it, Ray. Oh, Matt Ray's got it. He's got a challenge on. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do something like that. Trust me. The wheels are spinning. But I want to thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to grab the winner. In the tradition of the taste-offs, do a little pour. A toast to you. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Wait, listen, you can't see me that well here. Boom, boom, boom. I want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. This is the winner tonight. Rare Breed Glass D. Thank you all so much for the support. I need it now more than ever, more than you can possibly know. And, this is such a great time hanging out with you all and sharing a dram, talking whiskey, talking up stuff. I just thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I hope you all are safe out there. Take care of one another. Be safe. And remember, vodka sucks unless it's being used for hand sanitizer. Cheers.